Welcome to a new episode of Real Talk Live, where we talk about movies, TV shows, and all the latest entertainment news. I'm your host, Krypton Cage, and I'm joined here today by my co-host, the Viking.
What's up? Finally, justice for Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. Was this a success or a mess? We'll talk about it in this live stream.
Yeah, I know a lot of cool topics today, and we are joined here today with special guests Alex and Philip Barker.
What's going on, everybody?
Hey, how's it going, everyone? How's it going, everyone?
Good. Glad to have you guys here, man.
Happy to be here.
Of course. Happy to be here, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, really appreciate it. You guys, well, Philip, you have your own kind of, you set up your channel, your commentaries of Batman v Superman and Man of Steel. Do you want to tell people about that a little bit?
Well, I'm on Ryan Rivera's videos. He's the real burn on YouTube, and we've been doing a couple commentaries back and forth. We just did Man of Steel. We're gonna do Batman v Superman, but we've kind of pushed that back for another week. And I also do my own podcast, which I actually just uploaded the 100th episode. So, yeah. And I do kind of Twitch stream every now and again too.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've seen that you got your 100 episode recorded, so big success in that for you, man. And Alex, you have a Ghostbusters outfit on. Can you tell us what was going on with that?
Today's laundry day. Enough said.
Brilliant answer. Casey, what's the first topic of today's live stream?
Yeah, so the first topic of today is Fear Street Part 2, 1978. Now, this, I don't know how many of you guys have watched the first one, which came out last week, but just to recap, this is a 3-movie event that Netflix is doing, and every part is coming out every weekend. So the first one came out last weekend, and we talked about it, here on the channel, and both of us liked it, but we thought that some of the dialogue and the writing was bad, but it still was enjoyable, and the horror was great. It was, the slasher aspect was awesome. There was a lot of violent and gory scenes. That was cool, and I did not expect that. So before we talk about this movie, let's get you guys' thoughts on what you thought about the last one.
Oh man, I was surprised with the last one. All right, I'm a huge horror buff, and when it comes to 90s horror, like especially with Scream, those type of slasher films, it felt like a great homage to it, especially the first 10 minutes with what they did. I'm trying to remember the actress's name. It's gonna kill me right now. But essentially, they had her as top billing for the film, but she was only on screen for a few minutes. So it's kind of like what happened with Drew Barrymore with Scream 1. Like, she was on the poster, she was on everything. She got killed off in the first 5 minutes. So I'm like, pretty good. But then, other than that, the horror aspects are really good. A lot of pretty nice jump scares. I thought they were going to play it safe, especially since these were literally high school kids that they brought on. No, the last 20 minutes, my jaw dropped. I knew who was going to go. My wife hates it when she watches these movies with me, because I'm going to tell her this one's going to die. This one's going to die. He's gonna survive. Oh fuck! They had sex in the back. Dead.
Yeah.
She's like, no, they can't. I'm like, yeah, they turned on the machine. She's gonna go through it. Oh, and they did. I didn't think they were gonna show that aspect. I'm still recovering from that. Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Philip, have you seen it?
I actually have not. I've lived this series through Twitter mostly. I've been very busy with work and a bunch of other stuff, my podcast and other things. But I'm looking at it now, and this is definitely up my alley. I mean, part 2 set in 1970. It looks like set 1978. The first one in 1996. So, and I'm a huge fan of Scream. I'm a huge fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, a lot of horror movies just in general. So this really does look a lot like it would be up my alley. I mean, even the thumbnail we've got up here, it looks like it's like sack face Jason kind of.
Yep.
Okay, so that's hella cool. So I'm looking forward to it. So I'll definitely check this out. I feel really really bad that I haven't seen these because this definitely is super up my alley. 'Cause I'm a huge horror fan, but I'm happy to hear you guys talk about it. So spoil away. Cool with that.
Well, yeah. I
Well,
mean,
I haven't seen part two, so
yeah,
careful. With
yeah. I
spoilers.
won't be spoiling
Okay,
this.
sorry.
But yeah, it's awesome to see. Like you said, Alex, I was not expecting they will go full on with the kills and all that, but they did. And some of the characters that you might think that wouldn't die actually end up, you know, dying or not dying, depends on what you.
No, dying in a gruesome way.
Yeah.
Like I knew they're gonna die, but not in that
Yeah,
way
and especially
whatsoever. And especially this is an R.L. Stein series of books.
yeah, and also especially
Yeah.
showing that on screen. Like I thought that how they usually allude to a gruesome death, but then they cut away when it actually happens. No, not in this one. They actually show you all the way through, and that's just awesome.
Yep.
In part two, 1978, I'm not going to say who dies, but there's a scene where the killer has a sledgehammer, I think not sledgehammer, axe,
Yeah.
and he hits them in the chest, and he does it repeatedly, over and over again, and the person is dead, but the killer keeps doing it, and we get to see every single hit.
Yeah.
It's so
wow.
hard to look at.
Nice. Now, have you guys seen any of the Friday the 13th movies? Because this one looks like more of an homage to part two with sack-based Jason.
Yeah.
I own parts 1 through 8 in DVD. I'm a huge fan of that franchise. Friday the 13th is one of my favorite horror franchises. I'd actually probably give it the edge over Nightmare on Elm Street, but I do think that Wes Craven is a much better director than a lot of the Friday the 13th films overall. I mean, the films themselves are a great series because they're just like really great schlocky horror films, and Jason changes over the course of every single one, and the stories like evolve and become their own different things, and they take the franchise in so many different ways. My favorite one is probably part 2, 3, and 6, definitely.
Okay.
But the sack face burlap sack face Jason. There we go. That's always just been a really fun image for me, and with the axe too.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fun one.
No, because it's funny because a lot of people always forget that Jason started off with the sack face. Well, actually, no. Like he started off as the young kid jumping out of the water at the end of the first one.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was his mother.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, in last week's one, right, so these three stories tied together, all three of them, there's one dropping every single Friday. Basically, the origin is from a witch, and she casts this kind of spell or curse on a town, a shady
Oh,
side.
okay.
So every so many years, she'll possess somebody to be a serial killer, and that's basically what happens. And in last week's one was kind of modern day, and we get to figure these teenagers figure it out. And so that's basically what it is. So we got to see every single one of the killers in the first movie. Somehow the witch is able to bring them back to life, or whatever way it works.
Yeah.
I'm sure supernatural way. And so in 1978, this one we get to see one of the killers, the origin of this killer, how the witch brought this one to life, and then there's a few other ones kind of thrown into it as well. So
That's nice.
but yeah, it's awesome. But just the plot for this one is just from IMDb is Shadyside, 1978. School's out for the summer, and the activities of Camp Nightwing are about to begin. But when another Shadysider is possessed with the urge to kill, the fun in the sun becomes a gruesome fight for survival.
Yeah.
Brilliant plot. But yeah, this one was 10 times more gruesome than last week's one, Casey.
I don't know if IMDb has it correct, but they do have a title for part 3.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it's
1666.
1666.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's very
Yeah.
interesting.
Look, firstly, I thought that this movie was even better than last one's. Especially, well, some of the deaths in the last one, especially the bread cutter one, I think that cannot be topped. But apart from that, I would say overall, like from scares, from story, characters, everything else, I think this movie was even better. And I loved the Nick Good character in this one. He's a young, cool dude in this one, whereas he was kind of like a nerd in the previous one. The Sheriff Good character, and
Yeah, that character, they were in the first movie as
yes,
well, and then we get to see them kind of 30
as a
years
kid,
earlier
yeah,
or 20 years earlier, whatever it is. Yeah, and then so there's actually two characters from the first movie are in this one, but younger versions of them. So we
yeah,
get to see how they're
Interesting.
tied together with this witch and the killers and stuff like
yeah.
that. So I thought it was all
I
Very
right.
loved that
interesting.
part.
I'm wondering if they're going to use. Have you ever read any of the Fiercer books? Any of your three?
No,
No,
No. Okay, so just remember that the sheriff's last name. I don't know if they touched upon it for part 2. If not, then it will be a plot point for part 3.
who?
Sheriff Goodman. That last
Yeah, yeah,
name,
yeah.
just remember it.
Oh, okay.
yeah, I mean, I'm guessing we're going to see some sort of ancestor or something like that for these characters because obviously they're not going to be a younger version of them because it's in 1666. But we do get to see. I don't want to spoil that part. Actually, I won't say it. But yeah, this one I can't see. I think what was better this week was the actors. The
Yes.
actors were better. I think last week's
Oh,
acting
dude.
was poor. And for somebody who's I'm not an actor, so I can't really judge.
The
But their acting was shit.
yeah, the lead actress.
Compared to this
How do
week.
you make your lead
bad.
actress so unlikable in the last one?
Yeah,
That was the major
Yeah.
problem for me. But this movie, that was fixed because most of the actors were great. And Sadie Sink is obviously, from Stranger Things, and she knows what she's doing. She's already had experience in this kind of a genre. So she was great. And the whole movie kind of revolved around her and two other characters that were also good, but super, super annoying. But I enjoyed that because I think they were annoying on purpose, and by the end we kind of feel bad for them. So that was again good writing in this episode, in this movie. And
the music as
Yeah.
well was really good music.
You know what else
Japanese
just
music.
Oh,
You know
no,
what just
music
came to
was
me?
great in the first
Yeah.
one. I can't wait for this.
same, yeah,
It's part 2 is 1978. 1978 is not only when they had Friday the 13th. I don't remember which part, but they also had no, I'm wrong. Friday the 13th started in 1980. 1978 would be a homage to Halloween.
oh, that makes sense.
And there's
Yeah,
yeah,
because
There's,
Halloween released in 1978.
there's
Cool.
a few scenes now that you could probably say they're a homage to it,
Yes,
as well as Jason, as well as maybe Freddy Krueger and a few ones like that. But yeah,
Really?
there's even one character we didn't get. I was actually disappointed in the trailer. We got to see this kind of like a kid in a baby mask or like a
yeah.
baby. You know that character? We didn't get to see much of that character.
I think
was
they're
wanting to
saving
see
all of
more.
that for the next one, man.
Oh.
Because even like I
Really?
said, by the end of the last one, I thought the teaser for this this movie was the best part of the entire
Oh.
movie. And even this time around, well, I wouldn't say it was the best part, but I loved the teaser. That is something that, if you like The Witch, the movie by
Oh my god,
Yeah.
yeah.
if you like that movie, then next movie is definitely looking like it's going to be like that. And
Yeah.
it's set in
It's Robert
1666, so it's definitely
Yeah.
in that kind of style. And that's my favorite kind of thing because it gets more scary when you have all of that, and plus you already have a witch in this, so we'll probably see more of that, and also maybe the other killers that they teased.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be the Avengers Endgame of this.
The origin. But Philip, what's pretty cool is because you haven't seen them yet, but at the end of last week's film, they show a trailer for the next one,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, that's what got us real pumped because like the movie ends and then this kind of trailer
Yeah.
plays and it shows you next week's film. You're like, oh, pumped, you can't wait. And this week's one, they show you a trailer for
Trailer
next
for
week's
the
one,
next
and
one.
the tone is completely
Yeah.
different. It actually, to me, it felt like that M Night film. Which one's it called? But the kind of the guy in the horse.
The Village?
The village, is it?
The Village. Yeah.
Kind of reminded me of that bit. It just looks so creepy and so weird. So that was awesome. And also, there's characters. So we get to go back to 1978, but we also go back to modern day. where these characters are trying to figure out what's going. They're trying to stop the curse, basically. So it kind of jumps back into the past, but also near the end, it goes back to the first characters' movies, and then the older version of those characters as well, talking about what happened in the past. So all three movies are pretty much linked together. So I'm interested to see what happens in modern day with the third one as well.
I think all the past stuff is more interesting to me than what's happening in the modern day. Maybe that's one of the big reasons is because of the characters in modern day. I didn't like them as much as I was supposed to in '94. But 78, I was, fully on board. I love those characters. Some of them were really annoying, like I said, but the writing was good, so their character development was good throughout the movie.
Well, it's a horror movie. You always have to have that one annoying character.
Yeah.
But definitely, we recommend 1978. It's really gruesome and a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
After hearing the concept, I'm definitely intrigued. I'm gonna have to check this out now because this definitely sounds like it's up my alley in my ballpark.
I think they haven't, although they tried to. I think they haven't marketed this event much to the general audience. They were kind of just showing the graffiti stuff and very minimal teaser stuff for this event, but just now when it's happening, it's actually getting more traction. So I'm glad that they are. I hope they are being successful in this, because I think that they have something pretty good here, especially if you consider the whole trilogy as one thing.
That's true. Yeah,
and it's kind of unique.
Yeah.
For Netflix as well, because this is a movie coming every single week.
Yeah, it's the first time,
really
right?
Gotten this from a streaming service.
And each one is different, set at a different time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like the first time they've ever done an anthology like this. So,
yeah.
And no streaming service has done it. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Like, this is something they could develop. I think there's a lot more stories from the book they're not touching on. There's a lot.
There is. Yeah, this is the story. It's not really within the books. Like, there's some characters from it, if my memory serves me right. But this is it's totally new. So I was actually pretty surprised just seeing how certain characters were utilized for this. But they have something, and I hope this becomes like an annual thing, whether under the Fear Street line or something else, because this is something special.
Yeah, it is.
I'm kind of like surprised that they released it for the summer. Like maybe around Halloween, this could have been. I would have liked to see this in around the October time, because. Yeah, but I don't know. I guess they're just experimenting to see if maybe they could get some traction for it.
Maybe they've already got another one lined up for Halloween. I don't know. I doubt.
Most likely it might be I think it might be Stranger Things 4.
Oh, that's a good point.
Anyway.
Yeah.
That's their moneymaker right there.
Yeah.
Because last year it was Adam Sandler's UB Halloween. That was their big kind of Halloween headline.
That's surprisingly
that was
good.
Great.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah, it was.
I have not been a fan of like his recent stuff, but that one it worked.
Yeah,
it worked. Yeah,
co-sign everything.
And the callbacks too was perfect.
Yeah,
the Sandlerverse. Really that.
Yeah.
But no, because go ahead.
I was just gonna say the last Sandler movie I remember really enjoying, like it was in a theater for grown-ups. It's the last one I remember enjoying.
Yeah, that was the one I wanted to enjoy, but I couldn't get into it.
I feel like I don't know because he's got all of his buds there.
Oh, yeah. All his movies, he has all his buds. So you got it.
But I love Sandler, and sort of my brothers and sisters, and like when a Sandler film comes out, it's like an event. It's like it's like the Avengers movie coming out. We just sit down and we all watch it. And we had a blast with Whoopi Halloween. Thought it was hilarious. It's so funny. And the good thing about Sandler at Netflix is you're going to get 100% Sandler. You're going to get what you love about him.
I mean, come to recent memory with the Safdie brothers and Uncut Gems. That was brilliant, in my opinion.
Yeah. And he's going to be doing more weird kind of movies. I think he's playing an astronaut in a new movie where he goes to space. And he has like an animated side character or something. It just sounds weird. So He's doing comedy, but he's also doing some drama as well. So he's giving.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
Yeah. But you should watch 1978.
Yes,
Next
absolutely.
week we will review 19.
Oh, absolutely.
We're not
I'm gonna now.
1666.
I keep saying 1966, 1666. I was actually surprised that they're going back that far, but I'm not.
Yeah, it's
Let's see what the
Quite the jump.
yeah, it is. But the teaser was fucking awesome, and I'm just excited for it.
Were you so excited about the teaser because it had so much lens flare?
No, actually,
You're going crazy.
actually, it's very
so
raw.
dark.
It's very raw.
All right.
Yeah. So it's just like The
budget
Witch.
looks. Oh yeah,
That's Robert Eggers,
Yes.
isn't it? The Witch.
Yes.
Yeah.
even the cinematography
Yeah.
looks completely different
Yeah.
from the first two.
It looks like a movie. It doesn't look like a cheap, TV show like structure to a movie, but it actually does look like a movie.
Mhm.
All three of them. So yeah, we definitely
They are.
recommend. Yeah, they are. We definitely recommend watching this trilogy. If you are into horror, we all definitely are. So we are loving this,
Mhm.
and yeah, so excited for the next one, which we will be covering on next week. Which we'll probably invite Alex again on.
No, it's even Phil too, because after if you watch us all three,
Yeah,
we should examine
Yeah.
every Easter egg that they have
Yeah.
and all the references to every horror film.
Yeah,
I'll
definitely
take
need
notes.
that.
There's a lot of there's a lot of obscure ones that I've spotted that it should be like in a different discussion.
Yeah,
I'll take those.
Yeah.
absolutely. All right, then let's jump on to the next topic here, which is The Witcher Season 2. The trailer came out and I saw it. I'm not a big Witcher fan, because I haven't played the games. But I saw the season 1 and I really liked it. I also liked the twist that we get halfway through the season when we actually realize what the structure was. That I think that put off a lot of people, but not to me. I think that was fantastic. And that actually got me more interested, but that cannot happen every time, right? So this season they won't probably
Right.
have that. So I'm curious to see how they'll take it. Henry Cavill obviously is great in the role, and the world they built here is pretty huge in scale, and it looks pretty good. So I'm intrigued. I saw the trailer and I really liked it. It just looks super high quality. Henry Cavill is like 80% of 80% of the shots in this trailer is just Henry Cavill looking here and there and saying stuff. But obviously, why wouldn't they do that? It's pretty awesome to see that. And there's also a surprise cameo at the end of the trailer, who was a fan favorite, Yennefer in the last one. So pretty glad that she's coming back. What did you guys think of it?
Yeah, I have to watch The Witcher again because it's been even 2 years.
Yeah,
since
me
the
too.
First one dropped.
I forgot.
And
Yeah, Sean and I were
Yeah.
talking about this. It's been about 2 years since the first season dropped. My memory's really foggy. I'm due for a rewatch myself, but I will say that Henry Cavill is just he's Geralt. There's no question
Yeah.
about that.
he's
Exactly.
he's a character actor. I think he's just Superman,
Mhm.
Gerald. I think he could play James Bond. He could play any really character like that.
And Sherlock Holmes, surprisingly.
Yeah,
Alex
exactly.
Wright, Sherlock Holmes. Yeah.
Yeah, he was good there too.
Character actor. I think when I watched the first season, I was very sick at that time. It was before COVID kind of came here, but there was kind of talk that COVID might have been here before officially came here. So I think I might have had COVID. I was really sick. Never been sick before in my life. So I kind of watched the show kind of groggy, in my mind. So kind of made the experience more interesting because the show was kind of weird. And then, as KC said, like 4 or 5 episodes in, or maybe near the end, they tell us, "Oh, it's not in order.
Yeah.
It's not in the timelines are all over the place." And I was like, "Oh, really? I didn't notice. I didn't know."
Yeah.
So I
It was like three timelines converging in or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once I understood it, I was like, "That's pretty cool and different." But yeah, I enjoyed the first one. I thought the action was pretty good. Henry Cavill was good. Everything was. I enjoyed it. That was good. I played the games then after that, and I enjoyed the games. The games were a lot of fun, especially the third one. Um, like the games have been a success. The books have been a success. This show has been a success. There's spin-offs coming, so like it's obviously it's a big IP and it's doing pretty well for Netflix, and I'm enjoying it. And yeah, this trailer I thought was fine. It was okay, nothing amazing. I thought it didn't stand out ultimately, but it's not coming out till December 17th, so this isn't going to be the big trailer. They'll release another one. It was only for WitcherCon, which is this kind of interesting event. They're going to have their own kind of Comic Con, WitcherCon, which is interesting. So it just shows you how big this IP is, that it can carry its own kind of event, which I think they had a live stream on Twitch. But I think that's what I got a notification on, was from Twitch. But yeah, I thought the trailer was fine. Yennefer, obviously we all have a crush on Yennefer. She's pretty beautiful, but also pretty badass, in the show. And I'm interested to see the journey that these characters go on for season 2. And I want to see some new cool monsters as well.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. The trailer, teaser. Like it did what it was supposed to do. Just bringing us back into the world. But other than that, I was glad that they were showcasing more of Geralta, and I'm trying to remember her name.
Cirilla.
I got it. Cirilla. There we go. It's been 2 years. Because I've never read the books or even played the game, so it's kind of hard for me to remember these names. But I loved what I saw when I first saw The Witcher. And it was just I was glad that you focused on those two characters and mostly just with the new content instead of what sometimes a lot of teasers will do, crawl back into what we did see, because it's now opening up the world even more and even seeing other Witchers too. So I was just like, this is gonna be good. And other than that, just this IP, I didn't realize how huge it was. When I found out Henry Cavill was casted as Geralta for The Witcher, I'm like, really? Superman? Come on. But then after seeing that season, and then knowing that they're doing WitcherCon and then all these books and these fans, holy crap, this guy could carry an IP.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wink, wink, WB.
And I think, just before Philip kind of talks about it, I think if you cast somebody who's not as known as Henry Cavill or loved as Henry Cavill in this role, I don't think this franchise is as big. Yeah. The IP is as big.
Oh, I'll agree to that.
Casting known. Because I think Henry Cavill has...
And not only that, but Henry Cavill is a fan of this IP.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This happened because Boss Logics actually made an art of Henry Cavill.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the reason the casting even happened.
Yeah, we're still waiting for Dave Bautista for Gears of War.
So that's a really great point, Najeed, because when Netflix decided to go with Henry Cavill casting as Geralt based on art by Boss Logic, that end point was a corporation listening to a fan base.
Oh, what?
Right.
What?
Wow.
What a concept, right?
What a concept.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And so, I'm familiar with the games. I used to work at GameStop. I've got a couple of mutual friends who are all former GameStop employees. So we're all about, IPs and franchises. We're all huge Ratchet and Clank fans, Pokemon fans, you name it. And Witcher's obviously up there. A lot of my friends are into the Witcher trilogy. Me, not so much, but I definitely can appreciate the lore. For me, this cinematography in this series is just nothing short of exceptional. Just beautiful. Just love it. Absolutely. And Geralt, like you guys pointed out, Henry Cavill is leading man material, but also the fact that he's Superman, but also the fact that he was an unknown before Superman and Superman put him on the map. Now he's known to carry such a franchise like Witcher. WB is it's you
toss the coin to your Cavill.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're saying
even it had a hit song.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought with the Witcher?
So you're saying that next we are getting Henry Cavill as Mario or Luigi?
Highlander, actually.
Highlander, yeah.
No, but Boss Logic's made an artwork for that as well, right?
On that IP, but I have faith.
I would love to see actually Henry Cavill in a red and blue overalls tossing fire. Mario would be perfect. Yeah, that's
right.
Perfect.
That's right. He's doing Highlander as well. Is it Years? Is it Gears of War? No, or
No.
Mass Effect.
Gears of War. That's with Dave Bautista. A lot of fans want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing Mass Effect.
Mass Effect. Yeah.
I feel like
character.
I feel like if you're gonna try and get something like Gears of War made, you'd have to like talk, or at least make, like the fans would have to make some kind of campaign in regards to Microsoft, because they're doing something with Halo, and it's like, well, what if you guys are doing something with Halo? Do something with Gears of War.
I think
like,
they need to wait.
They have
for-
been working on Halo for like 15
Yeah.
years.
I know.
I think they need to make
Mhm.
that a success first, to because that's their top
It's
tier
Gears of War, right.
thing, right? So if that is
Mhm.
successful, maybe they will get other things like that. And is
Dude,
Destiny?
Netflix needs to do The Legend of Zelda.
Yes.
I'm
Yes. Thank you, Alex.
Well, no, whether it's animated or live with The Witcher, like go live fucking action.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yes.
I want it. And do not name Link, please.
No.
No.
The hero of time. That's what he should be called.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
But Alex, did we just become Legend of Zelda best friends? I hope so.
We just did. We just did.
That is arguably.
Am I buying
Yep.
HD? Yes, I am.
Yeah, I love Legend of Zelda. I cannot wait for Breath of the Wild 2. I am so
Oh.
excited for that.
I'm so playing Breath of the Wild 1 every
So am I.
day. Dude, every day I find something new.
And it's
Even though
like,
I have every item, but I find something new.
and to go back to The Witcher, I look at that series and I'm like, this gives me hope for things like
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
In recent years, a lot of projects like this came out, which actually gave us hope for more obscure projects. Like The Witcher probably wouldn't have been made like 5 years ago, even. But right now, it's possible. So that's great.
And also,
Thrones.
yeah, Game of Thrones, yeah. But at WitcherCon, we also got a trailer for the anime film that's coming as well,
Uh-huh.
Witcher Nightmare on the Wolf, which is about Geralt's mentor, Vesemir. So it's going to be a film about his mentor,
Okay.
how he came to be. So it's going to be anime. The trailer looks fine. I'm not hugely into anime, but I probably would watch this because it's tied into the universe. But that looked pretty cool as well. So Netflix is all in the Witcherverse, and there's no one's coming.
I love that Netflix is able to do that, that they're going down the route of not limiting continuity to just one specific kind of medium in terms of, like, The Witcher, and Army of the Dead, and hopefully Rebel Moon, and, just even to like play devil's advocate here, like, Jupiter's Ascending and that other anthology series that they're now working on in wake of Jupiter's Legacy's cancellation, like,
Yeah.
I feel like, they're not limiting their continuity to just like one specific medium. And I think that's a great idea going forward for your content.
I mean, it's a crazy
Yeah,
concept, right?
yeah,
Have a movie and then build off of it and make a universe out of it.
Mhm.
Right.
And original IP too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a crazy concept, man.
I know. Mhm.
We also have there's Transformers animation, the show War for Cybertron as well, which is brilliant.
Oh, so good.
They have He-Man, as well, Kevin Smith's He-Man is coming. So like,
I'm excited for that. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He-Man Revelation. That looks badass.
Everyone is trying to
And there's a few other ones.
build a cinematic universe, man. Like, I don't know.
And that's the key
I
word.
just-
If you build it correctly, it will work.
Cinematic
Yeah,
universe.
I mean, everyone except one studio apparently.
The only successful successful that they've done is surprisingly the MonsterVerse
Yeah.
from WB. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
Legendary, but yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. hmm
we'll not get into GVK, but
I like it, but I think King of the Monsters is the best one.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now
Movie
we're best
great.
friends.
I have to disagree. I enjoyed Godzilla a little bit more than King of the Monsters. So.
That's understandable.
Yeah, I mean, all of
I go
those
with-
movies are
I
great,
go with-
so there's no complaints.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're great. Like
Except GVK.
Yeah, versus Colin got it was stupid, but I knew what I was getting myself into.
Yeah,
Skull Island was the most fun I thought.
yeah. Skull Island was great.
Oh, Skull Island was great.
I like Skull Island, but Skull Island probably had my least entertaining theater experience. And that's not even a fault to the movie. That's because of the people who were present with me. And it's like, man, this is a great movie, and you guys ruined it for me. Curse you.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
That's no big deal. But I do love Skull Island. Skull Island's got some of the best visuals, and I think Jordan Vaughn Roberts is just spectacular.
Mhm.
I thought he should have came back for Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yes.
And they made the humans interesting.
Yeah,
John C. Reilly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Well firm, unlike the GVK characters,
Yeah,
human
I
characters.
mean,
Mm.
well, speaking of that, let's jump on to What If. A
Oh yeah.
franchise
Oh, yeah.
was different from what it had originally intended to be. Well, we have the first trailer of Marvel Studios' What If series, which was announced at it was the Disney Investors Day, right? It was announced at that, and we saw just a couple
Mhm.
of pictures at that, and I was kind of well, moving pictures, but I was kind of not expecting this trailer because this looks like a fully, amazing looking animation, and I was just expecting something very basic like 2D stuff, and then you have voiceover work. But this looks like a full on animation movie, and I'm I'm totally in because right from the concept alone I was totally in on this, and this was my most anticipated one. But of course Loki really surprised me, so that's right now my favorite.
I
But
love Loki.
this also looks
Yeah.
like amazing. Like, I was not expecting this animation at all. Like, they're fully moving scenes from the MCU, but with different characters. And
Mhm.
for example, T'Challa is playing Star Lord, and he's with Yondu, and that's gonna be fascinating. And then you have Doctor Strange, Spider Man, Iron Man, all those characters, and it just looks amazing, man. The cinematography, I would say, looks amazing. The lighting, the animation, everything looks great. So I'm pretty hyped for it. I think it's coming on August 16th.
11th or 12th, I think. Maybe it might be the 16th
Okay.
though.
Right. So that looks amazing. Also, there's one of my favorite characters from the MCU. It's Peggy Carter. She's playing Captain Carter now, and that's awesome. We're seeing her back because I loved her
Mhm.
show both seasons. I really liked it, and it was different from what they usually do, and it had that charm of the first Captain America movie, so I really liked that, and I thought the character was amazing. So seeing her back here is also awesome. But yeah, overall, I loved the trailer, and this just got me even more excited for it. I didn't know how that would happen, but it did, and I'm all in. What did you guys think?
I'm a huge
Seriously, like, oh, go ahead, Phil.
I was just gonna say, I'm a huge animation fan. I've always been a huge animation fan since the Batman the Animated Series days, and Marvel's always had some pretty questionable animation over
Yeah,
the years. They started off pretty
Yeah.
strong with Spider-Man the Animated Series, but I feel like they kind of slowly kind of went downhill after that. But this looks like a step in the right direction. I do like the what if concept. I like Jeffrey Wright as the voice of the Watcher. A lot of the concept, even the concept image that they had with the Watcher, and like I think they had Ultron holding some giant two-piece sword next to Gamora holding Thanos' sword. But if you look closely, like Ultron's got all 6 Infinity Stones, and it's like not even Ultron, it's Vision in like an Ultron armor.
yeah.
It's just August 11th,
August
and
11th. Yeah.
like it's just so wild. I love the concept of it because it's just a what if, and it's one thing that's changed, but that one thing kind of alters the entire trajectory of that kind of universe.
Mhm.
And I'm kind of hoping that Loki is kind of setting us up in that multiverse route to where we start asking these questions like, what if this universe had this, or what if this universe had that? And based on the trailer, with Robert Downey Jr.'s character, I feel like people that might be Robert Downey Jr., but I would not be surprised if it was not, because it didn't really quite sound like him, but I could be wrong about that. But I do like that it opens up with him meeting Killmonger, because it's like, what if Killmonger saved Tony Stark? Where does that lead the MCU then?
Mhm.
What happens to the MCU at that point?
Yeah. It's
Oh,
also
that's a great
strange
point.
because DC already had a head start at this. They had Zack Snyder had implemented the concept of what if Superman was turning evil, and that concept was already going on for DC, and they scrapped all that, and now Marvel is doing it. So DC constantly keeps on serving their things on a silver platter to Marvel, and they always keep
Yeah, but
so frustrating.
hands up to Marvel for just sticking to a plan. and delivering,
having a plan.
whether you like it or not. Like they're delivering. They're making with their promises because DC was supposed to have the multiverse. They announced it with the Flash. That's been delayed for how long? And how many movies do you have already signed up for a multiverse style Doctor Strange, Spider-Man of all things, and then we have a What If. We have a Loki series with a Gator Loki. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel
like they just started filming the Flash. Like,
yeah. I feel like Marvel is really, they probably I feel like they listen to criticism and they do it in like a kind of long game kind of way, in the sense that I've heard the sentiment that people were kind of tired, or not really tired, but just kind of maybe done with Marvel after Endgame, rightfully so. That was a 22 story arc, 23 movies if you count Spider-Man, whatever. But like, I feel like doing a What If, like stepping into the realm of animation, that's a breath of fresh air for the people who might have felt that they were done with this, because this is taking the universe that they know, the 22, 23 movies or whatever that's already been established, and just kind of turning it on its head a little bit and doing something that they might not have seen in, much more different visual perspective. I just feel like, they're spreading their wings in a creative stance, just doing an animated series on itself, on top of doing Disney Plus series and, movies. As, someone in the chat, Hiding TK, is listening to us while they're on the train to see Black Widow. I'm going to see Black Widow after the stream here in a couple hours, so I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to this series, really, because, again, animation fan, but largely because this has a lot of fun concepts just based on this trailer. I think the one that intrigues me the most is like the Spider-Man with the Doctor Strange cape. I'm curious to see how that turns out.
Yeah, I wonder if that's going to be somewhat connected to
No Way Home. Yeah. We
So,
saw some toys.
That's why we seen the Funko.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward
speaking about Spider-Man, like I feel Into the Spider-Verse helped to give this inspiration on the What If.
Yeah.
Like they're not afraid to contradict their own universe by doing this show. Like this could be seen as doing like a risk. What Tony Stark is said, like Killmonger, what or Peggy Carter is Captain Carter, stuff like that. But they've built up a franchise, a fan base that they can actually take risks. And I think they have been taking risks. I think the Disney Plus shows. I even think Black Widow took some risks as well, especially the opening 40 minutes of that movie. And this seems like a different risk as well. So I'm intrigued to see the Captain America zombie and Iron Man zombie. That looks just I love zombies.
That looks great.
Yeah, to see superhero zombies looks awesome. I think there was a comic book storyline. Maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong.
Marvel
Zombies.
Yeah, Marvel Zombies or something like that. I never read it, but I just love zombies, and looking forward to seeing that adapted into this live action so I can check it out and see what it is.
I wonder if they'll do a Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. Now that I think of it.
I feel like that would be something they could do somewhere down the line in this animated form.
Exactly. This is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because MODOK was on
MODOK was on Hulu.
Oh my god, MODOK was another surprise.
Yeah. That's Patton Oswalt who did MODOK.
Yeah. I could see them doing something like that on Disney Plus here, which is our adult version of it, is Disney Star. So it's Hulu for you over there. We don't have a Hulu here. So yeah, they could do something like that, like MODOK, Deadpool R-rated animated show series or something like that. It'd be awesome. Which I think, voiced by Ryan Reynolds, you could have cameos of Hugh Jackman and things like that. I think it'd be awesome and different. It'd be a cool way for Deadpool to cross over with the rest of the MCU. So if it took a while for them to do a live action version of it, but this looks like an expensive animated show. It doesn't look cheap.
And if you want to see all of that, all of the different concepts that you would like to see, then make sure you watch this so that it's, a huge success and they further explore the animation with other movies, which they probably don't have plans to make into a live action, but, would not be opposed to do it in animation. So that would be cool.
Can you imagine, it's me going back to zombies, but like Captain America super soldier serum who can run as fast as anything, who can jump and is as strong. Like, imagine that type of zombie running after you, or an Iron Man zombie. Like, that's just scary.
I don't have to imagine that, Maher. I've already seen that like a couple of months ago in Army of the Dead. That was Zeus.
It's true, yeah.
That's true.
These damn Snyder stands bringing everything back to Zack Snyder.
Since this is coming
Zack
back
Snyder
before...
invented super soldiers.
Since this
He
is
invented
coming
the
out...
zombie baby.
That is true, he did, yeah. Since this
What were you
is
gonna say, Philip?
Since this is coming out before Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, I wonder if Sam Raimi would sneak that in as a possible, like, one of the universes, Marvel Zombies, like seeing it here in the animated form and then seeing it again potentially as like maybe an Easter egg in Multiverse of Madness.
The good thing about that,
I feel like they'll do like an Evil Dead style.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Dude, yeah. Directed by Sam Raimi. I just bring.
I feel like
So
Sam
Reagan
Raimi-
Bruce Campbell. Oh man.
Yeah, exactly.
the
yes.
good thing
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that is Kevin Feige talks to all the directors and they are all on the same page with stuff. So it wouldn't be too out of the blue for them to actually talk and discuss the plans and make stuff like that happen, because that's what happens in a cinematic universe,
I think, yeah, but I think it also depends on the director. I think John Favreau would get his way. I think Sam Raimi would get his way. But someone like the Black Widow director,
Keep John
brand new.
Favreau out of it. Let him stay in Star Wars. Let him fix it.
I
No,
think he's
I'm just saying.
perfectly happy
What do you
to be
mean
honest.
fix, Alex?
No,
What? Bringing it. I'll watch my
together?
words. No. Just fix it in a sense that, like,
I know what you
that
mean.
makes Star Wars as Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah.
I'm saying the respect, because Kevin Feige, I bet you can be controlling of his characters and his universe, but I think when you bring in somebody like Sam Raimi, you're not going to push him around and tell him what to do every single day.
Or
There'll
Alfred
be compromise
Molina.
there. So that, yeah,
No.
Alfred Molina, you can't even control Alfred Molina. But I think that's funny because they're like the OG
Yeah.
comic book movie actors. They don't really listen to NDAs, contracts, or we can't talk about this. But but I think someone like the Black Widow director would have a tougher time getting creative decisions over the line than someone like Sam Raimi or
Yeah,
someone
because
like
when you
John
hire
Favreau.
Sam Raimi, you're hiring for just like his style, because
Right.
every film that he has a what I like to call the Raimi signature. It depends on like a certain type of jump scare. It's always mixed with like a little bit of comedy. So I'm really excited when I found out he was in Doctor Strange. I'm really excited what he'll do for this. If you'll go like a little bit like Army of the Dead or kind of like an Evil Dead style, or go to hell as well. Or was it Take Me to Hell? I can't remember the name of him.
Mephisto.
Mephisto.
Mephisto, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Sam Raimi, when he did Spider-Man, he did that mention of Doctor Strange, and here he is now doing the Multiverse of Madness. And I don't think you hire Doctor Strange, or I don't think you hire Sam Raimi to be like a director for hire. I think, to Alex's point, you hire Sam Raimi to bring in Sam Raimi and do Sam Raimi's style. So, looking at their other movies, like Brian Coogler, he's got his stamp all over Black Panther. You've got Jon Favreau, again, his stamps all over the first Iron Man movie. The second one, maybe a little bit less, because they were trying to do a little bit more with setting up certain things in the universe of that movie. But then you've also got, I'm not a fan of the movie, but like Taika Waititi's and Thor Ragnarok, that's an absolute Taika Waititi movie. Yeah. And even I would say Loki, that's definitely like Kate Herron and Michael Waldron's series.
Yeah.
Like that is their baby, but it is just so damn good.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Just the score alone.
Oh yeah, Natalie Holt's score, just so good.
So good. So good.
Scores, KC loves the score for Loki. It's just,
Yeah.
I didn't really notice it until maybe the last episode how good it was. Just that opening sequence where they're kind of the camera pans into Loki when you first wake up to the other Lokis.
That's his theme right there. And I've noticed that. I'm glad you brought it up, because I noticed that episode by episode the score kept on getting more grand. As a way of telling.
Glorious purpose.
Yeah, as a way of telling like Loki is finally fully his character arc is also developing, and he's finally becoming the Loki by each episode. So I like that.
Yeah. And who would have thought that Richard E. Grant would have been the best of all the Lokis?
Oh, the classic.
The
last
episode, I couldn't believe it.
I clapped.
I was excited for President Loki. just seeing that, I'm like, because I know the history in the comics of behind that character, I'm like, oh, can't wait. And they offed him. I'm like, really? That's it? But then classic Loki stole my heart.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Gator Loki. Like that scene alone, wow.
Yeah, this series got me to clap, and that's the first time in a long time Marvel Entertainment has got me to clap.
Yeah,
I haven't clapped at something since maybe Infinity War when Thanos beats the crap out of Hulk. Yeah.
Oh, and the little homage to fan theory of Loki maybe projecting himself and survived Thanos snapping his neck. Loved how they referenced that for this as a what if.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true. Yeah.
We also get to see Keen Loki in this What If series as well. So we get to see a new adaptation of that. Also, we should say that this is going to be Chadwick Boseman's last portrayal of T'Challa, unless they do something in Black Panther 2, but this is his last time he played the character, so that's going to be pretty touching, and it's cool because we don't know what to expect. Like, if it was Black Panther 2, obviously it's kind of Black Panther and Wakanda and stuff like that, but here he's Star-Lord and he's with Michael Rooker's character, so yeah, that goes. And also, it's a good indication as well because Spider-Man's in this. Who's to say Spider-Man can't pop up in a Disney Plus show in the future if he's popping up in this? So.
Sure.
I thought he might pop up in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I was pleasantly not surprised to see him not show up.
Yeah. I think Sony might want to just keep him for the big screen box office instead of.
I think you're right.
Maybe. But, what if this show is great? And what if we review it? We will.
Yeah.
See, animation's a whole different ballgame for Spider-Man because that's all Disney. They can distribute that any which ways, 10 ways to Sunday. But like box office live action, they got to talk to Sony. And to your point earlier, that those conversations are probably the toughest conversations I think Kevin Feige has creatively outside of the ones currently with Black Panther due to the situation surrounding, Chadwick Boseman's passing. But like Spider-Man, I think truly is probably some of the most difficult creative conversations because you're dealing with a whole other studio who wants to make a whole other kind of small universe with the leftovers of Spider-Man's universe. And like they're playing ball so they can try and make money and keep Sony alive because really the only survivor they have is Spider-Man.
Here we have
that's kind of where I'm at.
Here we have one studio working with another studio, a competing studio, to make their cinematic universe work. And here, on the other hand, we have WB, who owns all the characters, has all the characters. They're willing to do stuff, and they're not doing it. So, yeah.
Right.
So speaking of that studio that actually cares about the fans, Black Widow came out yesterday. And
the savior of the box office.
Oh yeah, that too. Like it's doing pretty well at the box office, even better than Fast 9. And that was surprising.
Yeah, it had a bigger Thursday opening, I think, right?
It's double the opening of Fast 9.
Yeah.
And
it's close to I think it's like close to pre-pandemic numbers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's set to open at 88.5 million domestically.
That's great.
So that's the biggest of the pandemic era. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
So what are your thoughts on this movie, Maher? What did you think of it?
Yeah. Okay. So the first trailer came out. I don't know how long ago it was.
November
It was
2019.
like years ago. Was it? Well,
yeah, I think so.
I thought that trailer was pretty good, and I was pumped for Black Widow. But then it got delayed, and I kind of fell out of love with it. More trailers came. Who's got Alex? Did he leave?
No, man.
All right, you went missing on mine. Okay. But yeah, I thought the newest trailers weren't as interesting or weren't as good. So my kind of hype went down a bit. But I watched it today, and the opening sequence before the credits, kind of Black Widow comes up, and then the scene after that as well, it's just really, really good and really, really dark. And I was surprised. And there's two kind of songs that play that I love. And I was surprised to see them in a Marvel movie, and it didn't seem like a Marvel cinematic movie at all. It really didn't. And I thought to myself, wow, is this going to be something absolutely different and unique? And for the most part, it was for maybe the first 50 minutes or 55 minutes. After that, the story just gets a little bit uninteresting for me, and I think the final act has a lot of poor CGI and the cliche hero villain talk. My master plan. Just I've seen it before, and this time it was just a little bit confusing, and just I didn't care for it whatsoever. And Taskmaster looks brilliant, absolutely brilliant, but we don't get to see enough. I'd say we get about maybe 10 minutes of the character. That's about it. It felt like a Joker Suicide Squad thing to me. I don't know if there was a lot cut out of it or what, but the character was brilliant, but we just didn't get to see enough of it, which I was annoyed at. And he was as cool, or she was as cool as the Winter Soldier character from when he was first introduced. How badass it was, the action sequences and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that was a little bit of a misstep. Other than that, like David Harbour, is it?
Yeah.
Things. He was funny, but I just didn't care for the characters that much. There was no, like, Tony Stark in Civil War when he sees his mother and father get killed by the Winter Soldier, or when Spider-Man kind of crumbles in his hands or he dusts away. There was no scene like that. I didn't feel for Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow or Florence Pugh's character. I just did not care because I knew she's dead, or maybe that was a misstep by the script or the direction. There was no scene that got me kind of teary-eyed or really feeling for these characters. Which was a shame because I enjoyed the first 15 minutes and I thought it was really good. CGI in the last act is pretty poor, but I can forgive that if the action is good. And it wasn't that good in the last few minutes. And the movie just kind of ends without any kind of sign that this is the ending of the movie. Just kind of over. It was surprising, but yeah, I think Black Widow is an okay movie. I had a lot of fun with it. Yeah, I just wish the first 50 minutes was as good as the last hour and 10 minutes or whatever it was. But Scarlett Johansson's great, but this movie should have happened 10 years ago or 6 years ago. It should have been the first MCU female-led movie, I think. And I think I don't like or Captain Marvel, I mean. I don't like that movie. But this is way better than that, I think. And
totally.
I'd watch it again. Yeah. Florence Pugh was brilliant. Florence Pugh was fantastic. I want to see more of her. And yeah, but the movie isn't terrible or anything. I just think that the second half could have been better. And Rachel Weisz is it, her character, David Harbour, they're fine, but I just didn't.
You didn't care.
Yeah.
I agree pretty much with your assessment of it. Like, should have been released 10 years ago, maybe 6, 5. And also just like with the characters, yeah, like I didn't really like. They wanted me to care, to have that connection, like this familiar connection with them, but I didn't, because like there were times when the film should have paused for it to breathe, so we can have those connections, and it didn't happen within there, and just it really derailed for the third act, which was kind of disappointing, because I was pleasantly surprised how I was enjoying the film, even though a lot of it was predictable, especially with Taskmaster and the big bad. Like it was choreographed from the beginning, but I feel like this would have been better served as like a 6 or 10 episode series than an actual film, because of those connections, of the opening of the Red Room with the other widows. There is a good story within this thinly veiled plot that they try to turn out for 2 hours. That they could have made something that would have had more connection to David Harbour, Rachel Weisz, also with Florence Pugh, who was fucking brilliant, and she should have been more on screen. And I didn't expect her to outclass Scarlett Johansson in her first Marvel film, which I was surprised.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with you guys. And sorry, what were you saying?
I was going to say, I was interested to see what Philip's hype is, because he's going to see it tonight, which is very excited for. But even before now, I hear in our thoughts, how excited were you for it?
Well, I have my excitement level, because normally, superhero movies are my jam. I have a superhero podcast. I really do like seeing them on or around opening day or weekend. This Black Widow, basically to everyone's points that we all just heard, largely the reason why I waited not to see it, Thursday, Friday opening night. Also because, just busy at work, coming home, got stuff to do, cat to take care of, other things and such like that. So I'd rather just wait to see it with my friend who I'm going to see it, here in a couple hours. But to your guys' points, like I'm my excitement lies with the cast because I'm a huge I like Scarlett Johansson just fine, even though she said some pretty questionable things today from that one interview. But the other rest of the cast, Rachel Weisz, David Harbour, Florence Pugh, you've got me there. Like I'm interested to see what those characters do in the MCU, where they end up by the end of this movie. It sounds like, based on everyone here, that the first half of the movie is spectacular and it begins to fall apart in the second half of the movie. And I'm like, well, okay, that's sounds par for the course considering the studio that made the movie and the way that they've made movies for the last couple of years. And I do think that, this movie should have been, to Maher's point, like it should have been one that they should have made a couple years ago. It should have been their first female superhero movie. And, Ike Perlmutter's opinions or whatever be damned, like they really should have done this sooner, in my humble opinion. But I'm happy to take what I can get now. I'm curious to see how this movie plays out, considering that the main character is dead in the canonical timeline. So it'll be interesting to see how things wrap up. There has been one thing spoiled for me that I'm not really going to talk about, but I know something about Taskmaster, but I don't know like the exact specifics behind it. So I'm curious to see just how all of that will play out. As far as Taskmaster on the whole, if the character's in the movie for 10 minutes more or less, like that's disappointing. But I think the look of the character is as best that they were going to get it adaptation-wise as far as the MCU, because the MCU, they either get it really, really right, or they just, you've got the MCU version of that character. And I feel like Taskmaster is the MCU version of the Taskmaster. And that's not a bad thing. I like this. I like the shield and the hood and the skeletal face mask. But other than that, like, we'll see. I'll let you guys know how I feel about it when I'm walking out of the theater here in a couple hours.
I don't know if it was deliberate, but definitely keep an eye out for Taskmaster, the way that the character fights and the way the character looks. Is just keep an eye on that, because I don't know if they took inspiration from other characters.
No, because
it looks like they did.
No, because I think that I don't know if this is a spoiler, because people started thinking about this in the based on the trailers alone. And I've seen this, theory passed around before even the movie came out and when the trailers were going around. So I don't think that's a spoiler. But from the fighting styles of Taskmaster, it kind of, the character kind of gives the vibe of he, was made based on the Avengers, right? In some scenes, he acts like Hawkeye. He has a bow and arrow. In some scenes,
Black Panther gauntlets.
Yeah, the Black Panther thing that's in the trailer as well. So, based on that, a lot of people thought that character was probably modeled after the fighting styles of Avengers, and all the Avengers fighting styles into one character. But I think they should have done more than what we got. I don't think they did that justice. I think it was just a throwaway thing in the movie. The character, however, is not that big for the movie. Like it's not. I don't think that character is that important for the movie. There's only one or two scenes that the character was used for. But I think that well, I won't go into that, but I think that
they're big scenes.
Yes,
they're big action scenes as well.
That makes sense.
They are worth. They're worth watching. And like this film is like, it's not terrible, and we're just kind of being critical of certain. Like I think if you had more depth,
it's good.
Yeah, it is good. It is good.
Sounds like a middle of the road Marvel movie, to be honest.
I think it's way better than Captain Marvel. Just on a technical level, even including that bad CGI shot, on a technical level, everything, like it's way better than Captain Marvel. I think this movie should have come out right after Civil War, and it would have had a much bigger impact, because I also think that they should have added now I'm getting into stuff that I wish I would see, but I just don't think that this negates the movie for me, but I just wish I could see these things. Like I would have loved to see more Shield Hydra stuff in this movie, a more covert operation, maybe lean into more of the spy stuff, at least for half of the movie. And then you can go on to the big action stuff in the third act. But they did some of that, and I think there are some plot twists that are pretty good, which I didn't see it coming. Although I kind of predicted what it was, but I didn't see how they were doing it, and that was pretty cool to see. And it was a good callback to the other movies. I think they kind of paid homages to the Winter Soldier, which was amazing. But also it's a very different movie than that. It's not just a plot point by plot point copy. I also would have loved to see what happened in Budapest with Hawkeye. At least a scene, but we didn't get that.
They might be saving that for the Hawkeye series.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, stuff like that. I wish I would have seen that, but it was not there. But it didn't take away anything from the movie. I just think that the movie is still good, and I was not expecting much from it, so I wasn't disappointed. And as for the performances, like everyone's saying, Florence Pugh is just amazing, like I expected. She's always amazing.
Her comedy timing.
Yeah.
Her comedy. Not like every time
she was great.
Yeah.
Her comedy timing is brilliant.
Yeah, and
she could be in that film with Eddie Murphy or any of the best comedians. She'd hold her own.
Yeah, she's an amazing
The
actress.
buzz surrounding her performance is great.
Yeah, she's an amazing actress, and there was no doubt that she would be better than Scarlett. I think that she has more acting range than Scarlett, and that showed. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But yeah, Scarlett is pretty great in the role. I always liked Scarlett's Natasha in the MCU in the supporting role, because she is a great friend to Steve, and that's what I always get the vibe from Natasha. She's a great friend, and although she did something in Civil War which would not hold true to that, but I still think she plays that part very well. Like, she's not a stone cold killer or just a big wannabe hero type of character. She is a friend. She tries to understand stuff, and she has her haunted past, and I love all those layers to that character a lot, and all of that was brilliantly done again here with Scarlett, and she plays that part pretty well. As for Yelena's character, I think she is pretty good, and I'm hoping to see more of her in the future. And yes, and Red Guardian, of course, was pretty good. He was hilarious, and David Harbour just he's pretty funny, but also there's a lot of different layers to the character, which I will not get into because it's spoilers. But yeah, I really like that as well. So overall, I would say that this movie is pretty good. I was not expecting it to be pretty good, but it was. And so a lot of people are hating on it because of variety of reasons. I don't know why, but it's fine. You don't expect that it will be the next Avengers, and why would you expect that? I don't know, but yeah, it's fine as a solo movie. I think you should definitely watch it.
One thing I definitely like.
Ignore Twitter.
Yeah, I'm with Alex. Ignore Twitter. One thing I think I really like that they finally did was they put her in the white suit. I feel like that was a long time coming. Yeah. Because that's just a really nice visual cue for her. Because just she's got this really dark red hair, but like that white action suit, it's pretty synonymous with her comic book look. And I felt like they should have done that a long time ago. But glad to see it here be utilized. I guess if I'm looking forward to that, it'll be to see that suit in action more than anything.
But yeah, to Alex's point about it probably would have done better as a series, I think that's pretty much on point. I didn't think that while watching the movie, but now that you said it, I think that they probably would have dove deeper into the spy aspect, and had more stuff to do with the villain before he turned up to set him up, which they kind of lacked in this one. And that would have helped, I think.
Yeah, and also the repercussions of the Red Room.
Yes.
There's a lot of story that they could have done.
I thought they would go more into the Red Room stuff, but they didn't. That's what I was kind of hoping to see, because we know Black Widow's kind of backstory from, you know, the Avengers movies and the Winter Soldier and all those stuff when she mentioned those stuff, and we have a couple of flashbacks here and there, right? So those things not being shown here kind of was the missing thing, I think, because the Shield Hydra stuff wasn't there. The, you know, the constantly brought up thing with what happened in Budapest thing was not here, and you know, the flashback of actually Scarlet getting into the Red Room and, you know, being brainwashed and all that stuff wasn't here. So I think that maybe they already covered that, so they didn't want to explore that even further, but I would have loved to see it.
There's also like a shot, like a lot of directors kind of get shit at times, especially male directors, for kind of shots of the behind the female actresses.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Of their behind, so of their ass. Okay.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of people online say, "Oh, this director's a pervert.
Yeah.
This director is trying to womanize, sexualize women, stuff like that." I was surprised at the amount of shots of Scarlett Johansson in the opening kind of few minutes of her behind, and like I never looked at it as a pervy kind of way. It's a directing style, and I think this is a good example. This is a female director that decided to do those shots of Scarlett Johansson because she's holding something in her hand, or because she's walking towards something. Because it's a directing style. It's not because the director wants to get a good shot of her behind. You know, some movies they do that on purpose, of course, but I think you would have seen that maybe 20 years ago. Charlie Angels and stuff like that, maybe. You know,
that actually kind of bugged me in the movie, because there was not just one or two. There was like a couple of them, and I was like, why? Yeah. One of them is fine because, you know, she had a blonde hair color thing in her hand, so that actually had purpose, but the others didn't.
I was so taken aback by it because we're living in a world now where everything is kind of judged, and like female empowerment and stuff like that. I was surprised to see that. And you guys, when you watched or Philip watched the movie, you probably spot straight away. Like, I'm surprised there's so much of her behind being shown here, because you don't really see that as much anymore. So, but I'm just saying, if it was a male director directed this movie and those shots were in the movie, there'd be a lot of shit online about it right now.
Probably. Yeah.
And also, Yelena's pose thing was hilarious.
The poser.
I've heard about that. I'm excited to see what that reference
was hilarious.
Is about.
Again, she has a bright future for the MCU. I'm pleasantly surprised.
And this time they have a really great actress.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I saw an article recently that Feige's moving away from like long picture contracts, because that's really like, I don't think that was ever fair to like lock these people into, you know, such long contracts. Be like, oh no, you have to do this and this. It's like, no, I think it's better for the talent, because then you're allowing them the freedom of coming and going from a role that better fits their schedule and what they want to do creatively. And it sounds like that they're trying to do that to accommodate the craziness of their MCU to handle it now. So,
yeah.
And plus, you're not relying on need Robert Downey Jr. movies.
Right.
You need Chris Evans. We don't have Chris Hemsworth for this movie because he's doing Mad Max. Oh, well, then let's get a Florence Pugh Black Widow movie in the works, or let's get a Wakanda series or something like that. You know what I mean?
Samuel L. Jackson is still in the MCU. That's really surprising.
Yeah, but he's done Jurassic Park. He's done Star Wars. He has done Marvel.
Deep Blue Sea. He's been everything.
I'm surprised he wasn't in this movie either. It's
he was in the RoboCop remake. He was in he's been in every franchise.
He's in Sin City. Sin City too.
The thing about this movie again is that, you know, a lot of things that we are familiar with Black Widow in the MCU are not present in this movie. Maybe that's on purpose, you know, to keep it a true standalone thing, and maybe because she's on the run, so they had to isolate her completely. But yeah, I would have loved to see some of those things. But I guess they kind of, you know, put themselves in a box by having her on the run, and, you know, you can't actually have other characters coming and meeting her.
Yeah, I think next week we should talk about it, but of course there's not a spoiler. There's a post-credit scene. It's Marvel, and
I don't see why the scene was hated.
Yeah.
What?
There's two.
Yeah, I don't want to touch.
Right.
There is?
I only seen
Yeah,
one.
me too.
I think
I thought there
saw
was
one.
two.
it could be the film cuts to black and then there's another scene. Maybe people thought that was
Okay.
was another
All
post.
right.
Maybe people thought that
They
was the
didn't
first
post.
post
Okay.
credit scene. It's actually part of the movie.
Yeah.
But
Got it.
I don't want to. Yeah, we won't talk about the post credit scene because it's in case there's people going mad online about it. But I don't want to say it because Philip hasn't seen it. But we'll definitely talk about it next week because I think it sets up some very interesting things for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cool. Loki shows up. I'm just kidding.
Thanks.
Just
It was
kidding.
Mephisto all along.
Wait, it's a branch timeline creating a Nexus event?
If they really wanted to, they could have Black Widow be alive. Like if they really wanted to. Oh, different
Look,
timeline.
Gamora came back after dying. Like, there's no reason they can't do
Mhm.
that. But I guess Scarlet just wanted to move on, and they had to just pass the mantle, to someone else. So I'm not saying that's what happens. I'm just saying that that's one of the theories. But you may or may not reconsider that theory. Once you watch this movie.
Fair enough. I look forward to it.
But yeah, overall, I think that it's not a waste of time. It's not great, but it's also not bad. You can definitely watch it. And apart from the third act stuff, although I didn't think that was also completely bad, I just think that it was a minor degrade in quality from the first act. Because the first act is really, really good. Like, it's Winter Soldier level strong, and the stuff that happens, like Maher said, you don't feel like you're watching an MCU movie at all. Like, you feel like you're actually watching some Mission Impossible type thriller spy movie, and then it goes into the MCU stuff.
Got it.
Yeah.
A little more.
Yeah, I agree.
They were so close.
Yeah, kind of like Born Identity in a way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, so those are all the topics for today, and I want to thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys, Alex and Phil. You guys are awesome, and we'll definitely, have you back.
Oh, you're awesome.
You guys are
You're
badass.
breathtaking.
Thank you so much for the invite. It was so much fun.
No,
And Alex,
no,
it was a
you're-
pleasure.
It was a pleasure too. Fellow Zelda fan.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We'll definitely get you guys back next week to talk about Fear Street, the finale. That's gonna be awesome.
I will be doing notes. Yes.
I feel like my night is pretty stacked. I'm gonna go see Black Widow and then probably come home and binge Fear Streets Part
Yeah.
1 and 2, hopefully. So
It's an easy watch.
Absolutely.
yeah.
And it's just 1.5 hours or something. So that's also really cool.
There you go. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So thank you everybody for joining. You can follow us at The Real Talk Live on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And at you can find the channel The Real Talk Live on YouTube. So there's this thing that, unfortunately we didn't get The Real Talk Live for YouTube. They just gave us Real Talk Live. So unfortunately that's how it is. We cannot even change it. So well, you can find me at Krypton Caged on all social media. Where can they find you, Mar?
Yeah, movies that matter on everything.
See how good that is?
Alex. Yeah. I used to have a funny joke, but nobody laughed, only me. So I just you can find me on everything. People are going to be on kind of dodgy apps looking for me now. I mean Twitter, Facebook, and all those. Alex, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at GeekLogRed.
Awesome. Phil?
If you want to, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Vero at Unfiltered.
Great.
Awesome.
All right, so we'll see you guys next week. We'll be talking about the Fear Street 1666, and we will be reviewing all 3 movies together as well, and pick out all the Easter eggs and the connections that were planted, and everything about that, and also all the latest news, whatever comes out this week. So until then, peace.